Getting fired is probably one of the worst feelings as a real estate agent.
Donald Trump? Yeah!
What's going on, YouTube family? Daniel Walcott here, your favorite realtor and real estate expert in the DMV area. And today, I want to talk about something that I haven't spoke about, at least publicly, before. Let me give you guys some background. So I've been in real estate for the past 6 years. I'm really good at what I do. I mean, I have awards, I have reviews, I have clients. With all that said, I've been fired 3 times. I think it's only been 3. Yes, it's been 3 because I remember each time. And let me tell you this, it just it sucks. It really sucks. And so I want to tell you guys the stories of me getting fired, what I learned from them, and what you can learn from them, whether you're an agent watching this or a buyer or a seller. So let's get into it. All right, so the first time I got fired, it wasn't, maybe it was my fault. I'll let you guys decide. So I was working with this buyer, new to the whole process, a little kind of needed a lot of hand-holding, right? Which is fine. I work with a lot of first-time home buyers. I enjoy working with first-time home buyers. I'm very patient. That's a quality that you need when working with first-time home buyers. You have to be patient. And so I really enjoyed working with her. I think she enjoyed working with me. Like, we were working together for maybe a couple months, and we met. We met. She let me know what she was looking for, and we really hit the ground running. The issue that we kept running across was that there weren't a lot of homes within her budget, and the homes that were in her budget needed work. However, she was using an FHA loan, and so when you're using an FHA loan, the property has to meet certain criteria, right? It has to be in a certain condition in order for it to pass an FHA appraisal. For more information on that, I did a whole video on FHA. I'll put the link. I don't know how this works yet. I'll put the link somewhere here so you guys could check that out after. But she was using an FHA loan. We would see properties and say, oh man, I want it. I'm like, well, you can't get it because you have an FHA loan. And so this kind of went on for a couple months, and she would say, I don't want to live here, and then she would send properties in that neighborhood. Or she would say, I don't want this type of house, and then send me these types of homes and say, hey, let's go take a look at them. As an agent, that's a little frustrating because I like to get in my client's head, right? Like, I want to know what you're looking for. So when I'm out or I'm online, I'm sending you things that you want to go see. And so when you do the whole switch up and say, hey, I don't want to be in this neighborhood, and you then send me homes in this neighborhood, it makes me seem like, well, damn, I'm not doing my job because I could have sent you that home, or I could have sent you that home quicker, especially in a fast-paced market. I don't want to leave homes off the table that you may want to purchase. And so it's okay to change your mind, right? It's perfectly okay to change your mind, but just let us know. Let us know. But I digress. It kind of got to a point where she felt like I wasn't necessarily giving her the service that she was looking for because there wasn't enough inventory for the type of loan that she was using. Eventually, she just stopped communicating. Altogether. I don't even think she officially fired me. She literally just stopped responding. And a couple months later, I was just kind of I was thinking about her, and I'm not gonna blow you up, right? If you don't want to buy a home, if you don't want to work with me, that's fine. Whatever, that's your prerogative. And just one day, I typed her name in the MLS, we can do this kind of search, and her name came up, and she ended up closing on the home, and I was really happy for her. Even to this day, I don't feel a type of way. It sucks to get fired, but I didn't feel a type of way because all I wanted to do was help her reach her goals, right? And so whether she did that with me or without me, whatever, she was able to purchase a home. I don't think she ended up using an FHA loan. I think she got her lender to get her into a USDA loan. She wanted to purchase out in Maryland. And so in Maryland, there are certain areas where you can use a USDA loan. And so I hope she's happy with her home. If you're watching this, you know who you are. I hope you're happy with your home. No hard feelings. When you're ready for that second one, call me. Let's make things right. Let's move on. So the second time I got fired was most definitely wasn't my fault. This lady was actually, I'm not gonna call her crazy, but this lady, she wasn't right in the head. So I think I was doing a home buying seminar for the HPAP program. So we ended up meeting, kicking it off, and we just hit the ground running. And so this client actually fired me twice. She fired me prematurely because like something crazy. Like I think she felt like I wasn't sending her enough properties. It was something wild. I could probably find this email. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I'll continue with the story, but let me see if I can find this email. So she fired me literally a week. I'm talking about like a week after us working together. What's this lady's name? She fired me after a week of us working together because she felt like I wasn't sending her enough properties, right? And so I emailed her back, and I was basically like, hey, sorry, I didn't meet your expectations. So this is how I work, this is how I operate, so far and so forth. And so and she was like, okay, fine. And then we was working together again. We submitted an offer on a property that we ended up unfortunately missing out on. We got outbid, and I think this was probably in 2019. And we got outbid.
You're fired.
I got fired 4 times. I just had something come to me. I got fired 4 times. I'll add the last one was a seller. And you want to talk about crazy? I don't like calling people crazy. This lady was out of her mind, but I digress. So like I mentioned before, like we submitted an offer, and then she even like introduced me like to like some of her like family and friends while we were out on showings. And I'm like, yeah, like whoever like you want to, like, I'm that kind of realtor. Like if you want to bring friends along for them to experience, to go on this journey with you, like the more the merrier, right? I'm big on education and stuff like that. And so if I can bring people along in the process, say, hey, look, this is what home ownership looks like. This is what the process looks like. Like I'm all for it. And so I can't find this email. And so like I felt like we had a really good rapport and relationship. And then out of nowhere, she fires me again. And this time I was just like, 1, I didn't know what I did. 2, it kind of didn't even matter because I'm like, I'm not doing this back and forth. Like when she's a type of person, right? And I know you guys probably dealt with these type of people before. They are so nice to you in your face. But when they're texting, or in this case it was email, but when it's like electronic communication, they got all this mouth, all this attitude, all this. But they're like the nicest person in the world. I'm like, lady, what is going on? Like whatever. So she ended up firing me, and I just kind of took that one on the chin. This is the thing about real estate, right? And I know some of you guys get it, some of you guys may not. As agents, like we don't get paid until you get that home or until that home gets sold. And so up until that point, we're kind of taking a risk, right? Because not everybody who goes down the home buying process ends up buying a home. Like sometimes you take a break, sometimes you move, sometimes you rent. And so sometimes you fire your agent. And so I guess to that point, what I'm getting at is, as an agent, there is that risk involved. You put in all this work up front. You go on all these showings, your gas, your time, all that kind of stuff, and things may not materialize. And so that is part of the game. You get used to it. But again, when you get fired, it does hurt. Let's move on to number 3. The third time I got fired, and this one probably hurt the most for a couple reasons. 1, this was actually a friend. It was a friend that I was working with, and she's still a friend. I mean, we don't talk as often. And that's okay. I guess maybe we didn't talk as often before, but when you go through the home buying process, like you and your agent become really close because you guys literally talk every day. And so, or at least every week. And so we were working together probably for a couple months initially. And then she decided to stop, rent for a year. And then a year later, like she hit me up and we kind of picked back up where we were. With this client, we actually got under contract. Like we were under contract for this condo. It ended up falling through after a couple months because it was new construction and the builder could not get the certificate of occupancy. Like it literally took them months and months and delays, and they weren't trying to give us anything for it. And so that was like a bad experience, left a bad taste in the mouth, which I totally understand. Not like it was my fault, but like that's what real estate is about. Like you can't control everything, right? There are so many unknowns when it comes to the process. And so that had happened, but then we really just got back at it and we kept on looking. Now with her, I'll tell you what the problem was. As we were going through this process, I felt that she didn't like trust my word and my experience, right? Like she would ask me questions, I would explain it, and then she would just kind of like do the exact opposite of what I advised. And like to me, like that is just kind of like that blew my mind. Like each and every time it would like, I'm like, did you not hear what I said? Like I'm like I know what I'm talking about, right? And so and anything I say, like I can back up with facts, stats, whatever. Like I'm the type of person where I want to share my knowledge. Like I want to teach people how to benefit off of real estate so they can begin building wealth for themselves. And so it kind of got to the point where I felt like she didn't trust me anymore. And trust is one of the biggest factors when it comes to a buyer and an agent having a good relationship. Like you have to have that trust factor. If that trust factor is not there, then what are y'all even doing? And so I felt like it came to a point where she didn't trust me. And like we would like, it would be simple stuff too. Like we would get so close to getting under contract to a home that she really liked. Like she'd say, hey, look, this is the house. I want to write an offer. I'd write the offer. Then all of a sudden she said she don't want it no more. And then I'm like, well, why? She'd come up with this like weird, frivolous reason why she didn't want the house. And I'm like, oh, well, you don't actually have to worry about that because you're protected this way. We could do the home inspection. We could do a pre-inspection. And like she would just say, no, I don't want to. And I'm like, okay, but this happened like 3 or 4 times. And I think eventually I started to get frustrated. And I feel like she can hear that frustration. And this went on. And I think over time, like I just got frustrated because we would get kind of so close to like achieving her goal. But I think she was very fearful, I realized, looking back, about the process, right? And that part, like I totally understood and I was able to empathize with, but I felt like she was holding herself back. And one thing I realized about that particular situation was, as an agent, I can't want the result more than you want the result, right? Not even just like, I'm not even talking about like commission breath, right? Like I'm not a salesy guy. I'm not going to push you on a property at all. And it's actually funny. She kind of accused me of that. I don't know if she necessarily meant it that way, but that's certainly how I took it. When we had the conversation and she basically said that she didn't want to work together anymore. We probably spoke for about like 10, 15 minutes. I heard her out. Like it was a very cordial conversation. I think at that time I was able to get off I was able to get off my chest what I had to say. And she kind of said what she had to say. But what really got me was she was kind of saying that she felt like I was pushy. I'm anything but pushy. Like, I don't know. If you work with me, you know, like I'm not that guy at all. And I was trying to explain, I'm like, this was a 2-year process, right? Like we've been working together for the past 2 years up to this point. How can you say that like I'm pushy? And so that's how she felt. You got to respect how people feel, right? Because their feelings and their perspective is valid. And so I think towards the end, she probably felt that I was, by me getting kind of a little annoyed, that I was being pushy. There was something, it was funny, like there was something that I said to her. I think eventually, like, when we were going through it and it kept happening over and over, we would find the perfect property, we would put in the work, last minute she would pull out on something that just didn't make any sense. And so, like I said, I kind of get now that she was very fearful of the process. But at one point, like, I said something that I probably shouldn't have said. It was like, it wasn't, maybe it was rude or snippy or whatever, but I think that was the final straw for her. And so she fired me. That one was probably the toughest, like I said, because she was a friend, is a friend. There's no ill will, ill feelings. Initially there was. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I'm human. I felt some type of way. I wasted 2 years, God knows how many hours dealing with her and trying to get her a house, and it just never materialized. I don't know. I don't think she has purchased another home yet. I really wish she would have. And I think that's the other thing too, right? Like, for me, it's not about the sale. I understand how real estate changes people's lives, and I wanted that for her, right? And again, you can't want it more than they want it. So I learned that lesson. But I just know you can pick any property, right? Like, there were a couple that she was really into, and then for whatever reason she decided to back out. She could have picked any property, and financially, she would have been good. Like, she would have been like so straight. Like, the equity that she would have had would have been incredible. And that part hurts me a little bit, because maybe if I was a little more patient, a little more understanding, had those conversations, slowed things down, maybe she would have felt more comfortable purchasing, right? Maybe something I could have done to help ease those fears. I think about that a lot, but it is what it is. The fourth and final time that I got fired was, so I had this seller. She reached out to me. She found me online. She reached out to me, hey, I want to sell my home. All right, cool. We do the whole thing. I said, I do the walkthrough with her. Like, she was older lady, very interesting, like kind of like odd, interesting, but also like interesting. I'm like, I kind of want to get to know you a little bit. So like, we would kind of hang out, and we would actually not just hang out, but we would hang out because she wanted to sell her home, but she also wanted to buy. And so I would take her out to see properties here and there, explore different neighborhoods, and we would drive together sometimes. So we would get to talking, and she would just kind of tell me like her life and whatever. And so we built a good rapport. That much was there. We built a really good rapport over time. And so we finally got an offer on her house. It was a good offer, but I don't think it was necessarily maybe what she wanted. However, and this might have been, and I say finally, but the property probably was on the market for like 3 weeks, right? Not a long time at all. And the day that we got an offer, there was a point in time where I was DJing and doing real estate at the same time. So I was DJing in this event with my friend DJ Chubby Swag. We were out in Virginia DJing a birthday party at it was either Lamborghini or Ferrari dealership. And so that morning the offer came in. And so like when the event was done, I was going to call her and say, hey, like we got it. We got the offer, whatever. Before that even happened, she calls my broker and like starts complaining that I haven't been in touch with her, like that she's not getting good service, that like I'm this and I'm that. And I'm like, I couldn't even believe it. Like when they called me and said, hey, like what's going on with this client? I'm like, what's going on with this client? We have an offer. Like we have a good offer on the property, like an offer that she's probably going to accept. What do you mean? What's going on? Oh, she's saying that she hasn't heard. I talked to her yesterday. I talked to this lady yesterday. Why are you calling my broker telling that you haven't heard from me? And so this was after we've had this whole like relationship, conversations and all this. And I'm like, we have this rapport. And instead of calling me and saying, oh, hey, like, look, this is how I'm feeling, you're going to call my broker? Like, are you serious? That bothered me. I think at that point, like, because like I couldn't even believe it. I could not even believe it. And so the deal ended up falling through because we did the home. They ended up doing the home inspection. and they were just asking for too much in repairs, and she didn't like that. And so she, at that point, she was just kind of turned off. She said, no, if they want to walk away, let them walk away, which they did. And so after that happened, I said, look, let's meet, let's talk. And so we did the coffee thing. We sat, we one-on-one, and we just kind of, we just kind of talked it out. And that did not help at all. Because even after that, after we had that conversation, I thought we were good. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, this lady, you know what I mean? She's so understanding. Like, you know what I mean? We ended up making work. It was just a hiccup in a relationship. Oh. A couple weeks later, probably not even a couple weeks, maybe like a week later, she fires me. And she's like, oh, and at this point, I couldn't even like talk. Like, I was so mad that I couldn't even talk to this lady, because it was sort of like the same thing with the other woman that I was dealing with. You're one way in person, but then when we're not together, like, you're this different person. Like, we didn't just have this conversation. So I say that to say, she fired me, but my team leader who was on my team ended up like saving the deal. So he kind of inserted himself in. I took the exit. He was able to finish out and help her with the sale. And he even had issues with her. Like, she was absolutely not, like, there was an issue with the contractor and all this and all that. And so he was able to see at the end that this lady was actually nuts. And so I'm glad it just wasn't just me. But yeah, that's real estate in a nutshell for you. You have to work with all sorts of people, and you always have to be on your A game. Like, that part is not lost on me, right? And so I think with every time that I was fired, I always learned something from it. I took something from, like, how can I be a better agent? With the last lady who fired me when I was trying to sell her home. Like, I needed to be a better communicator, right? I should have set the expectation like, hey, we're not going to talk every day, because I'm not going to have an update for you every day. But every Thursday, I'll check in, or every Monday, I'll check in. That was one thing that I did learn from that situation. She felt that I didn't have that communication, because it wasn't like, why am I calling you on a Wednesday to tell you nothing happened? Your home's on the market. It takes time. When we get showings, but I'm not going to call you just to say we got a showing. Either way, that was a lesson that I learned. With my friend that fired me, I could have maybe practiced more patience, even though I truly believe there's nothing I could have done differently in that situation. Like, that situation really, like, tested me and allowed me to grow, because I was learning in the moment. And then the other lady, I learned, don't work with crazy people. Whatever. Fire them before they fire you. If you want a lesson, all my agents who are watching this, fire them before they fire you. That's all I got for you guys today. I appreciate you guys for sticking around. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.
Yeah, they tryna at me, I'm running the race. I gotta pick up the pace. They throwing shade, but I'm gone. You gotta keep it a buck to my face.